Yes. All right. So we live
We are
officially?
live.
Okay, it is set. It always gives me this false thing because it'll say live, but then it'll say it's still setting up. So I'm like, okay, I don't believe it until I see my face on both windows.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. All right. Meeting is now streaming live on Facebook. Okay.
Yes.
So, yes, I am so excited to have you, everybody. It has been, first I want to say hello to all of you out there, whoever's watching, whoever will watch. The Gray Zone has been taking a small hiatus with everything going on over the summer and in our community. And just the Inland Empire as a whole and just nationwide. It's been a lot going on, but I've not stopped working on behalf of the culture. So with no further introductions needed, I have a very, very special guest, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell us a little bit of why we're here for this surprise PSA.
Thank you, Gray, for inviting me. My name is Vida Pasarin, and I work very heavily in the high desert. I'm not originally from here. I moved up here in 2010 from San Diego and Tijuana, going back and forth. And now I have really made this high desert my home. And I really love it. I love this desert. And I'm just trying to do everything that I can to just build a space where, we can all thrive and, just take advantage of the opportunities that, we hope to have and, just be the amazing people that I know we can all be. So I'm really happy to be talking to you today. When was it? On Tuesday, it was National Registration Day. Yeah, voter registration day. And so I think we really have this election on our mind. I know it's all over social media. When you open Facebook and Instagram, it's like, boom, register to vote. Right. We have a national day, and it was this week. And so, but even though with it being everywhere, I think there's sometimes we forget that there's key days. I know for me, I've missed things. I'm like, oh, shoot, yeah, I got it. And then I'm like, oh, man, I missed it. Like, because it was so everywhere that I just thought I could just do it anytime. And so I was hoping maybe we could talk a little bit about some dates, some key dates that you don't want to miss if you are registered to vote or not registered to vote. Just some key dates you don't want to miss to make sure that you vote in this 2020 election.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm honored, the desert is honored to have you here. I'm happy that you have adopted us as your new home. And just the work you're doing and will continue to do is so instrumental, especially at this time. Like it's vital at all times, but at this period in time, it is crucial. Lives literally depend on voting, and I know we can't say voting the right way, but there's so much that is at risk of this. There's life and death, so definitely thank you for taking the time. She's a busy lady, y'all, so please really give her your undivided attention again whenever you watch this, whether you're watching live or later, because she is just doing the work. And so I'm very honored to have you on, and this will not be the last time, which we'll go into later. So the first question I have is, have you received your ballot yet?
You know what? I actually have not. And I was just thinking about that today. And it was it was shocking to me because, we normally have voting parties in my family. Right. Over the last 10 years, I think I've been a pain in everyone's butt about getting active and voting and showing up to city council meetings and questioning things and getting diverse news sources. And so over the last during the 2016 election, my family came to me and said, okay, I think we really want to be more educated voters. So we should start having voter parties. And so we read through the propositions and we talk about the candidates. And then we have full blown debates and they're awesome. And then everyone just gets to choose, whatever they're going to vote on the issue. And so I was thinking about that today, how I was like, hey, I know it's COVID, so we were probably going to have to do it through Zoom, but I was like, when am I going to schedule this voting party? I was like, I haven't gotten my ballot. My husband has gotten his ballot. I messaged my cousin. I was like, have you got your ballot? He's like, no. So it's like, I don't know what's going on here. Have you, Grace? I gotten your ballot?
Now, I thought I did, and no, I have not. I know that my parents have, but I have not. And it's funny because it's always something with my voting, because I've, moved, I went to college, and then I was down the hill, for a while after that. So, but this has always kind of been my permanent residence, on paper. And so it's always been a thing getting me my ballot and then making sure I was registered. And then one time they had me under a different name, and well, they had misspelled my name. Instead of Bell, they for some reason had it Beil. I don't know, because I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't misspell it, but that was one thing that I know. So I've always been a little bit proactive and
Yeah.
making sure, when especially, voting period, but when it comes to big elections like this, that there's nothing holding me back, because that has happened in the past. So now to see that you have not received your ballot, your family has not received your ballot, I have not received my ballot, it just goes to show you, and we can't say that the man is after us yet, but
Yeah.
it makes you wonder, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. And I mean, I think with 2020 just being so busy, everyone, it's been the weirdest year. Things go so slow, but so fast. It's
yeah,
again, it's September 24th right now. And so I think just I think everyone that's watching this, if they could just remember to be like, oh yeah, check, have I gotten my ballot? And then maybe it's
right,
time to check if they're actually still registered, make sure that everything's good, because there's actually still time to register, to update anything. There's still time to do that, at least here in California. So I don't know if, your viewers, if they've, taken the time to look at some of the key deadlines.
right,
You know, in the state of California, the last day to register to vote is actually October 19th.
right,
So we still have about a month where you could still register to vote.
right.
And you could either do it in a paper registration form, and it just has to be postmarked by the 19th, which is important, particularly with the mail and all the delays with COVID, and with the new postmaster general cutting people's hours, and just things have been, the mail has been delayed. And so I think it's important to, if you're going to do a paper voter registration form, try to get it in ASAP.
Advertise again.
Yeah, I'm glad. I have one too. It's right here, and I actually have a bunch, if people want some. And if not, make sure that I just postmarked by the 19th. And then in California, there is actually, it's in-person registration. So on election day, on November 3rd, you can show up and still register to vote. But again, I would not recommend all those options, just because you never know. Things have been tricky lately. There's been, a lot of things have been dropped, or rumors have been dropped about how the election night might look like. So I think what we are all recommending is that you register to vote ASAP, and you vote early. You vote as early as possible. In California, the early voting stations are open from October 5th to November 2nd. So you can drop off your ballot, even if you have a mail-in ballot, you can just drop it off at any voting station. It doesn't have to be your own. And, if you just got busy with life, you have obviously on election day, you can even drop off your mail-in ballot at a voting station, which is what a lot of people are recommending. Don't rely on the post office right now because it is oversaturated, and it's been, some of the funding has been just reduced. So it's definitely a challenge. If you don't want to, register with the paper ballot, you can register online, which is what I would recommend. So you can go to registertovote.ca.gov. And literally that first page, it says, California online registration. And then it lets you choose your language preference. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 12 language options on the website, which I think is amazing. Right. So you don't have to be confused, you don't have to be like, wait, what's going on? And then immediately the first option, it's register to vote. And then the second option is pre-register to vote. So actually if you're 16, you can pre-register. And then when you hit 18, you should start getting your ballot in the mail. And then the third option, which is actually the option I'm going to use today, because like I said, I haven't gotten my ballot, is check your registration status. So you can click on this option to make sure that everything's squared away with the registered voters office and make sure that you can participate in this election.
Absolutely. Look, you have given us so much with all of that. I have included the links. I'm going to include the other 2 links that you mentioned, but I have included links on making sure you're registered to vote, how to register to vote. And then also I do have a link on our forum that is coming up on October. Let me make sure it is October 5th. Yes. 6:30 to 9:30, and that is our community forum. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about that and, get the people hyped up?
Yeah, so we are having a community forum. It's our first one on October 5th, and it's being facilitated by ROC, Reimagine Our Communities. And it's a group that came together to address systemic racism issues within our high desert. So, I became part of it, and I know you became part of it, Gray. So we're having a community forum, and it's focusing on the propositions, which I think is key. A lot of community forums invite the candidates that are running for office, which is critical. You need to do your research and you need to know who's running and what do they stand for, if they have a track record, how have they voted in the past. I'm gonna wait because I think you can hear my freezer.
It's no problem.
So it's important to research candidates, and yet a big component of voting is the different propositions within your city, within your county, within the state. There's going to be different propositions that allow you to vote on things like housing, access to finance for housing, and honestly, I'm spacing out on some of the propositions right now, so my bad. With that said, there's going to be this entire forum on just the propositions. So I'm glad that I'm spacing out right now, because it's just to show you none of us can keep all this information in our head.
Not at all.
24/7, we all have work and families and kids and, so I think it's important that we just lean on each other, so if there's this group putting together the information to help you understand propositions, join it, listen, take notes. Hi, Regina.
You do a great job. Thank you.
I told her Mom might make a cameo. I'm not sure.
An endorsement on live. So just show up, take your notes, and then take that back. and if you can, do a Zoom voting party with your family and friends and share that information with them. And let's just keep the information flowing, so we can all make educated decisions as on November 3rd on this really critical election day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you. And thank you so much for, I know that this, as I mentioned early on in the video, this is not the first and last video that we are doing together to increase voter awareness, engagement, and just voting, period. We can do all the engagement and awareness, but if these people do not vote, that's really where the rubber meets the road. So we will definitely be talking about the propositions in one of our upcoming videos. I know that it's hard. It's different now because a lot of us are home on some level, even if we're not working from home, we still are stuck in the house because there's really nowhere to go. And nobody should be going anywhere either. But we're generally ignorant to the props, especially if they don't really affect us, which is sad to say. But if if something's not really affecting you, you're not aware of it, and it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. But we fail to realize that what affects our neighbors affect us. And so we need to be on top of that. And especially as young people, I remember seeing the commercials as a kid, prop this, prop 209, prop this. And, as a kid, I was just like, these commercials are always on, like, measure this, prop that. I don't, I was a kid, I didn't care. And then over time, you start to see you need to care, not you should, you need to. And unfortunately, still to this day, while we have you, who is a walking encyclopedia, Wikipedia, and you were like, I'm spacing out. I'm like, you know way more than many of my peers. I promise you that. But you've done the work to educate yourself. Rock is doing the work to educate the community. It's really instrumental now, but a lot of people still don't take the time to do it. They don't eat. We're at home. They don't take the time to watch the commercials because you can fast forward through everything now. But again, this is literally life and death at stake. I don't mean to sound dramatic, but we need to vote and to increase the awareness about it, and just engagement, and get people, I know this will sound corny, but get people excited to vote, because it is not only our right, but it's something that our ancestors fought hard for. Black and brown have fought hard for the right to vote, the right to have a voice. We've always had that voice, but making sure our voice is heard. So again, just thank you so much for being here, sharing all of your knowledge, because you always teach me something. I know that we've only connected recently, but you have taught me so much, from the dates to the props to just everything. So I'm really happy to have you here. Happy for the community forum coming up on the 5th. I have dropped the link to that as well, the Eventbrite. So whoever is watching, and even if you don't watch the whole video, share the link, share the links attached to how to vote, how to register, how to check if you're registered, all of that. And most importantly, stay connected with us. So this is not just a gray zone project. This is really a collaboration, and I'm really excited for it, but I'm even more excited to change the narrative and use our energy and our frustrations for something good. So thank you so much. I wish I had more reactions to besides, I just have these claps besides that, but really I'm so grateful. And any last words before we let these people register to vote?
Yeah. So I'll just leave you with two things. One, and we can touch on this a little bit more, but in California, if you have a record, you are still eligible to vote. And it can get complicated because there's different levels, right? Like you can have a record from like federal prison, state, or county. So you definitely want to look into it to make sure that you qualify. There's a website called sos.ca.gov. But just briefly, actually, if you're in county jail and you're serving like a misdemeanor sentence, even if you're in a county jail, you can register to vote. So I know, as I'm saying that, I'm even thinking challenges and barriers for that, which we could probably talk about later. But like if you're on probation, outside of the detention centers, you can register to vote. So there's different, opportunities where, you could register to vote, where I think in the past people just thought like, oh, I have a record and so I'm done, like I don't ever have that right anymore. So there's been legislation that has allowed that to change somewhat. And, and I'm hoping that there's even more legislation in the future that allows everyone, that right to vote. And then the second thing that I want to leave us off is, voting is super, super important. It's definitely a way to make our voice heard within the systems that we have in place. And yet it's just one step, right? It's voting, getting elected folks, and getting the different measures that we want moved forward. But that's essentially where the work starts. We definitely have to continue to stay active, continue to hold whoever we voted for accountable. They're just people just like you and me. So just reminding them, that they're there doing a job and we're their bosses. And so, we have to continue to hold them accountable, continue to watch their voting record, and just continue to do the work, continue to be out in the community and, lean on each other and just continue to stay active. It's definitely a movement, and it doesn't start or end on election day. So that's kind of where I'll leave it, Gray, in your gray zone.
Well, you left it perfectly. I could not have said it better. And again, going back to the things you've taught me, I did not know that, and I know, like you said, it's complicated, that, if you had a record, you could still vote, because we're just taught if you have that's it. And while for some, unfortunately, that might be it, that's not the case. And you did tremendous work, helping to get that changed as well. So, absolutely. And we don't judge around here. The Gray Zone is a safe space. We encourage all people, all walks of life, no matter your past. It's all about your present over here. So feel encouraged and share that knowledge that you have a voice too. Even if you can't vote, if you find out, whatever the stipulation is, you still have a voice. You can still raise awareness and still engage people. But like you wrapped it up perfectly, it is the beginning. Voting is a step. It's a huge step. You have to take, we all here, you have to take that one step, but that one step is not the destination. So definitely. And we're going to continue this over the next few weeks leading up to Election Day, which by then, because I'm checking in every week with you guys that you vote, there are links provided. I will be sharing all types of resources through Gray Zone, so nobody will have an excuse at all. And I'm so grateful to have you on here. Grateful for this collaboration, even with your busy schedule and all the work you do. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Gray.
Yes. And
bye, everyone.
Everybody have a great one. Okay.